Hi, my name is Peter Berg, and this is the Captains meeting of the Nordic Rowing Coastal Championship. As you can see, this is done digitally. We did it last year because of COVID. We do it this year also because of COVID, but also because we found it very convenient especially for rowers traveling from afar, to have easy access to the Captains meeting. Um, as you know, just a reminder, every boat that is entered need to have a captain, and the captain needs to, like, obviously there's a bunch of rules the captain has to follow, but one of them is to take part of the captain's meeting. So every captain has to watch this video. We have 9 pointers to go through. We have COVID-19, parking, the water and the weather, warm-up, the actual start, the course or track, some semi-new rules to inform of, and what happens after the race, and then a conclusion. So stick around and we'll go through them all. Okay, first of all, COVID. Looking at a situation that it's slightly better than it was last year's edition, but we're far from out of the woods yet. So with that in mind, please keep social distancing. And if you have a cough, have a fever, or feel ill, please don't show up to the racing track. We don't want you on the racing side at all. And show respect to your fellow competitors and your teammates. Furthermore, the second floor of the rowing club will be accessed for staff or umpires only, so it will not be accessible for rowers. So to make it more convenient, to maybe have your racing clothes on already when you go into the boat park. There will be some toilets and also showers located nearby, but you can't use the ones at the club. They will be marked out on the racing map. If you need to find them or you can't find them, please ask someone wearing a Helsingborg rowing shirt with crew written on the back, and they will be happy to show you. Parking. There's a map on the racing site that shows where you can park your boats, especially, and trailer secondary. There's a green marking around the Helsingborg Rowing Club. There are also green markings around the building on the opposite side of the rowing club. Just make sure you don't park your boat or trailer in the middle of in the way of the docks. The docks are open for the public, so we need to have it easy accessible for not only rowers but also the public. And also, please make sure that your trailers are not blocking off the way for safety in terms of fire trucks, ambulances, and so forth. And in the terms of parking your car, there's parking slightly north of the rowing club. This is public parking. Just remember that you have to pay for the parking. It's quite low. It's only 5 kronor per hour. But just make sure you have to pay parking until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's also some of the parkings you need to have permission. We don't have permission slips for those parkings. Otherwise, there's additional parking outside on the pier or in the general area. So there's a lot of parking, but it's limited to the public parking. So just make sure you don't come as late as possible. So if you arrive earlier, you will have an easier time to find parking. Okay, next up is water or weather. Water in general, Helsingborg has the water outside Helsingborg, where we have the competition, is very popular both with the public. So we will have Probably if you have good weather, we will have a lot of sailboats, motorboats, jet skis in that area. The safety boats are for our competition, will do their very best to keep them out of the track. But just keep in mind, keep a lookout, tell your bowman, or if you're in a single, keep a lookout where we're going, because there's going to be probably a lot of non-rowers out on the water in terms of jet skis, motorboats, and sailboats. So keep an extra lookout. And the water outside Helsingborg, it's a bit can be quite difficult if there's a lot of wind, because you have quite a heavy current in Helsingborg. It could be quite heavy, making the waves not very big, but they're quite short or narrow, so it can be quite rough, even though the waves don't get generally above 2 meters. We see maybe 1.5, 2 meters tops here in Helsingborg, but they can be quite tight, and especially with around the start or the later part of the course, you will have reflecting waves from the rocks. So just keep in mind that the track or water can be quite difficult outside Helsingborg. Yeah, and the weather, of course. The weather generally in Helsingborg, we have westerly winds. For the last couple of years, we have quite very, very easy conditions with no wind or winds from the east. But as we speak, the weather forecast for Saturday is actually fairly rough, or at least semi-rough. So we will have 7 to 9 meters per second from the west, which is fairly normal for Helsingborg, but if you're not used to waves, it can feel certainly a bit different. Just a reminder for the captains out there, do a self-review of you and your crew if you really are capable of this type of conditions that are gonna happen in Helsingborg. So before you go out, take a look out on the waves, and if you are able to handle them properly. Also, if you find during the warm-up, or even in fact during the race, that it's too much, please, it's your obligation as a crew captain to take safety into consideration, absolutely first priority. Okay, the warm-up. First of all, when you get the boats to the water, be very fast out on the water. If you need to do any additional settings, please do it on land, and if you need to do some additional changes, please leave the docks and do it on water. The docks, we only have one dock that we can use, and of course that's going to be a bottleneck for everyone heading out on the water. And additionally, we have also the public will access the same docks, so please make sure that you're very fast when accessing the dock, both in and out actually, but especially when heading out. And just when heading out to the warm-up area will be slightly south of the harbor entrance. So just be careful, keep an extra lookout. You have to keep to your right, and that's the right of the boat's way. And högerregeln, if you're more accustomed to Swedish, but make sure that you keep right when accessing or exiting the harbor. There will be additional sailboats and motorboats heading in and out of the harbor, so keep an extra lookout, and especially keep an extra lookout because it's not totally sure that they will keep right, but if you keep right, then at least you do the right thing. The warm-up track will be anti-clockwise. At the moment, we don't know if we have markings outside with with the harbor or with the warm-up area. So just keep an extra lookout, or especially during the warm-up, because there's going to be a lot of rowing boats out there. But keep a anti-clockwise motors, anti-clockwise movement going around the warm-up area. Okay, then we've done the warm-up, and now it's time for a start. Please go to the start in time. Be very careful when going there, because you will pass the harbor entrance. But be sure to be there in time. The good thing about coastal rowing, you don't get penalized for being late, but the bad news is the start will go anyway, even if you're late. The start will be slightly toward the north from the harbor entrance. There will be a turning point there, so the start will actually be slightly more toward the north than the last turning point. So the start line will be from the secretaries, which will be on land, and one of the Empire boats that will be on water. So you can start anywhere in between those starting points. It will be a normal coastal rowing start. We don't have any visuals during the start, but we'll have audible start. So it's the same normal 3 horns when you have 3 minutes left, 2 horns when you have 2 minutes left, 1 short horn when you have 1 minute left, and then 1 long blast when the actual start goes. And now we keep in mind also, I will start with one of the new rules. We will do the starting rule, whichever we have done, or like if you do a false start rule, which we have done the last couple of years, which will be if you have done a false start, it will be a restart of the race. If it will be a restart, you will hear multiple blasts from the signal horn. Then the race will restart. Those crews or those rowers that have done a false start will start 10 seconds after everyone else. So in the restart, it will be a restart first of all from everyone else that has not been penalized, and then it will be a second start 10 seconds after with those crews that have done a false start. So if you do a false start, it will be tough because you start in last place. So keep in mind of the start. Okay, now we move along to the track. The track is fairly easy. It's a rectangle. Each lap will be 3 kilometers. So of course in this race it will be 2 laps. We have originally made 3K or 1 lap for the heats, but we'll have finals only in this year's edition. So 2 laps in every race. Keep in mind, at the first leg, there will be a reef roughly 300 to 400 meters after the start. So just keep in mind not going too close to shore, so you keep out of the way of the reef way. Other than that, the track is fairly easy. Like I said, a rectangle. When entering the last part of the race, meaning after second lap, the starting or the finish line is where the start line is. So we will have roughly 50-100 meters of an extra stretch after you turn and at the last turning point. So be sure to pass the finishing line before you actually stop rowing. Okay, so the semi-new rules. Those who were in last year's editions know them already. I mentioned one previously about the false start. The second semi-new rule is the one we had last year. Is FISA's new rule about interference. Normal interference rules is that you get a 60-second penalty, which will be added to your time. But with this new rule, the interference will instead be that you will have to do a 360-degree turn if you get penalized. So the judges will inform you as best as they can if you have gotten a penalty. It's your obligation to do a 360 turn when you get this information. Just be careful so you do it in a safe way, meaning if you have another crew just behind you, you may have to row to one of your sides so you can do a 360 turn without any incidents or risking a collision. So it will be a lot less than 1 minute, but still it will be a tough time to come back after interference penalty. The good thing about this is that the first crew that actually passed the finish line is often the winner. But if you fail to comply or you get an interference call, but you don't do the 360-degree turn, you will be extra penalized from the judges. It will be their call if you're gonna be excluded from race or get an additional time penalty. Okay, so you just finished the race. We employ you to get back to the docks as soon as possible. So when you have finished the race, just be extra careful when heading back to the harbor, because you're going to pass the actual racing line, so you don't risk any collisions with your fellow competitors. So if you have finished the race, please make sure that the competitors competing have they can row without you in the way. So keep it out of the way for the rowers that are actually in the race, but please make sure that you come back to the docks as soon as possible. There's no cool down on water. If you need to cool down, please do it on land. It will have a couple of rowing machines, or you can jog away the lactic acid. So no cool down on water. It's important because we share the water with other interests such as public boats, jet ski rentals, and whatever we need to get off the water as soon as the races are done. And also we need the boats to make sure that the next race can get ready. So when you're done with the racing, just please come to the docks as soon as possible. If you manage to finish top 3, extra well done. If you finish out of the top 3, well done, of course, of you as well. But if you finish top 3, make sure to make your way to the secretary. That will be located, or to the starting line or finish line. The commentators will want to have a word with you, and there will be a short prize ceremony at the finish line on land. So come to the docks. As soon as you get to the docks, please make your way to the finish line. We'll have a short prize ceremony there after every race. Okay, that was all for now for the Captain's meeting. If we have any additional information, we will share it online. So please subscribe to our Facebook page or our Instagram page. We will share all the new updates there. So if we have any new updates, we'll share it along the way. Keep in mind, safety first, good luck, have fun, and stay strong and stay safe.